No matter what kind of music you listen to, I love something you hate. Shaken All Over by Johnny Kidd and the Pirates. I believe in rock and roll. I think that rock and roll is one of the greatest things that's ever happened. It just hits me right in the heart. Now, this is a fairly simple song, and maybe that's actually what's the best thing about it, is like there's not a lot of complexity here. It's just speaking of an actual emotion, of attraction, being affected by that, being horny, if you will. They weren't allowed to use such explicit language, so they had to be a little bit more vague if they wanted to make a song just about like really wanting to bone. This is from 1961. It's probably the best rock and roll song made in England before the Beatles. This is the sort of song that is what the guitar is all about. This is something that you could hear and be like, oh, I want to make that kind of music, and you couldn't be like, oh, I guess I'll try that on the piano or with a saxophone or any of the other rock and roll cliche instruments at the time. It is a guitarist guitar song. I'm pretty sure this is like some sort of Fender reverb amp. It's such a wonderful sound that's such distinctive of this era. There's two guitars on this. One of them does a muted rhythm part, and the other one does sporadic lead lines that are louder, and then occasionally, and that is the kind of noise that only happens on the guitar with the effects of it slightly detuned, squeezing things, very evocative, emotional of, I don't know what that emotion's for, but it just drives me nuts of how true that sound is for me at times. I was very into the rock and roll revival that was happening in the Bay Area in the late 1990s. Lookout Records stuff was post Green Day, doing a lot of rock and roll revival, and I was just nuts about it. And so I started investigating. It's like, where does this music come from? I heard a song like this, and I was just like, oh, this is something you could make a whole genre around. You can hear this in the Cramps, Shannon and the Crabs. This is the kind of sound that can actually have a revival every 10 years because it's so mysterious. It's so mysterious. This is a mysterious sounding song. What is this song really about? What are these emotions? Like, is this a dance song? Did people dance to this song? Is this reminiscent of something that would have been in your diary? I don't know what day that was. There is a tension to it, maybe even a menace. And some of that menace can be inward. It could be confliction over what you're feeling. And there are these sporadic punches in the song where it like builds up, and like, bam, just stops and goes back to what it was. And sometime it be like that. But also, just a fun guitar song. This is part of a series of songs that I've made from a playlist that's on Spotify about the songs that inspired me to play music and songs that are what I want my music to sound like. You can find that playlist on Spotify under the name Why I Picked Up the Gun and Where I Aimed.